Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Town and Dewey Beach Finance Committee meeting. Today is Thursday, October 10th, 2024. It is 5:30 p.m. approximately. This is live at the Life Saving Station as well as via Zoom. With that, I'd like to convene the Finance Committee meeting and start with the opening ceremonies of the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Second element is a roll call. Bernie Kraus, here. Michael Schaefer, not here. Dennis Trencher, is Dennis not? Oh, okay, I can't see my. All right. Suzanne Evans,
Here.
Eric Nelson,
Here.
Manny Bramio, no. Iris Curtis,
Here.
John Gephardt, Mark Mayer,
Here.
Dominic Prestipino. You every time you get me on this.
I know, it's a tough one.
What is
Prestipino.
Prestipino.
But I'm here, yes.
He's here. And James Zeke, I'm not saying his last name either. He's not here. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have enough for a quorum. All right, that means this meeting moves along efficiently. One, can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved. I make a
Second.
motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And second, can I get a motion to approve the July 11, 2024 minutes?
I make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll open up right now for public comments.
I have a brief one.
You better be brief. Do I have to do a timer, or is this really going to be brief?
Oh, it's going to be brief.
All right.
Dave Thomas here, 1 Reed Avenue. The good news is that the Climate Change Committee met the other day and joins the sentiment of the Budget Finance Committee from a couple of years ago that the town have a resiliency fund. And the purpose of the resiliency fund by that designation would be to assist in the town getting grants for infrastructure and the like. One of the things that makes a grant application grant-worthy and that the grant reviewers look for is that you have a resiliency fund that is supported by a budget that includes a budget narrative that exhibits and demonstrates that, yes, here are the grants we're applying for, it's a 25-75 split. We know that we're going to have to come up with a 25%. Here's how we're endeavoring to do it. And so I think that's a good thing. And that isn't long-term, that's now. Our lifeblood is getting these applications in because I understand the BRIC grants, Building Residual Infrastructure Committees, it takes a year in between application and granting. So, if you can get it in and get it in a way that's going to get passed on favorably, that's a good thing. And I understand there have been some coastal towns that have had the BRIC grant, essentially prepared for by the University of Delaware up at the Biden Center. So that's all. See, I didn't even take a minute and a half, did I?
I didn't time you.
Anyone else here for public comment? Kate, is there anyone online? Before I get into, as you bring up the resiliency in towns and all the stuff that from the Bay Beach, et cetera, I just want to acknowledge the passing of the former mayor of Lewis, Ted Becker, this week. He unfortunately had a heart attack and was not able to be revived from it. But he was a big proponent of all things from climate change and resiliency, so it's really sad to hear of that news. All right, with that, we'll get into the action items. First action item is to discuss and possibly vote to appoint a committee chairperson. So is there anyone that would like to be the committee chairperson?
I would be interested in serving in that capacity. You'll have me. Getting ready to retire and planning my own investment and risk analysis portfolio, so it dovetails with this activity, and
Wonderful. Then can I have a motion to appoint Iris Curtis?
Whatever her name is.
I know.
I
Iris-
make a motion
We only
to
we
appoint-
know each other a long time. Iris Curtis
I
as the
make a
chair.
motion to appoint Iris Curtis
As the chair. It is-
as the chair.
Second?
I second
All in favor?
Aye.
And that was unanimous. All right.
Here we go. All
That
right.
was good.
How can I use this?
You can use it, absolutely.
All right. Thanks, everybody. My Robert's rules are a little bit rusty, so you'll have to help me if I do something incorrectly.
Use the microphone. Yeah.
Sorry. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your confidence in me. The next item on our agenda is presentation and discussion by the town manager regarding the financial needs and budget status.
Thank you, Chairperson Curtis, and Mr. Mayor and committee. We're doing okay. We're doing pretty well so far this year. We're almost to the 6-month mark in our budget. When we look at what our revenues are coming in and what our expenses are, we're right where we should be. We are short maybe in one area, but not by much, but we think we'll make up for that. And our finance director, Sheena Hall, will be up in a minute to kind of go into that a little bit with you. When we talk about grants, as was mentioned earlier, we did get $1 million grant from Senator Coon's office for a pump station on Reed Street to try to help with the flooding on that street. And then since I've been here as the town manager, with the help of our staff, we have gotten over $4 million in the last 4 years in grants for our new town hall, and approximately another $200,000 in what we call CTF funding from Representative Schwarzkopf, former Senator Lopez, and current Senator Russ Huxtable. So we've been able to take in some grant money over the years, and we will continue to do that. Our chief of police does an excellent job finding grants for her department to pay for her equipment. This includes dogs, some of the equipment that she's looking at in the future. She's done a great job with that. The financial director, Hall, and I have started doing quarterly reviews of our finance budget with our department heads. So for example, we had the chief of police come in and we look at her burn rate. So the burn rate would be, is she using the amount of money that she is supposed to up to this point in the fiscal year? And you could be under burning, which means you're not using as much, or you could be over burning. But, and Ms. Hall may go into this a little bit, with police grants, it's hard to do that because you could put in for the grant now and get the grant actually approved and get the money in March. So through the rest of this year until we hit March, and the end of our fiscal year is the end of March, it may show that we are short some funding, but then all of a sudden these grants come through, and then all of a sudden, we equal out. So again, we are doing pretty well right now as far as the budget, and with that, I'll ask Ms. Hall to come up and go over September's numbers and the budget so far this year with our revenue coming in and expenses.
Thank y'all for being here. As town manager said, we're right on cue where we need to be, which is great, because as we've all experienced, prices are going up in this world. So the fact that we came through the summer with pretty on level for our expenses is a good sign. Our last major revenue stream comes in this month, which is accommodations tax, which is for anyone that rents out their property. They pay 3% of their revenues to the town to help support the town. The revenues that the hotels are reporting that they have gotten in is down each of the past 2 years. We're still making budget, which I tickled about, but it's a concern for the long-term future if our hotels are going to be not getting the revenues in, or if they're, are people going more towards Airbnb or what? So this is something we're going to have to really think about when we do the budgets. We are looking at beginning the budget process. It's about a 6-month process so that we can get it approved by the commissioners by the middle of March, I'm shooting for February so that, you know, we have extra time. We have, the past couple years, raised some revenues. 2 years ago, we raised revenues on our rental licenses and hotel or business licenses and things like that. They had not been raised in over 12 years. So it looked like a large amount, but it was like $20. Percentage was large, but it was only about $20. Last year, they went up again by a few dollars. The restaurants, for each seat that they have, they pay a total of $10 per seat. So if your restaurant has 100 seats, $1,000 you pay us in addition to it. But that's really, I can send out to y'all the full amount as to where we have raised over the past 3 years, as to these revenues, the revenues that the commissioners can increase without referendum. Parking, business and rental licenses. Yeah, that's about it. Anything else needs to go to referendum. So it's, you know, we've been lucky with transfer tax, but how many properties you got in Dewey that can sell over and over? So what I would love for this committee is to help me with this. Help me come up with some revenue, because I can work so much magic, but only so much. But we, as town manager said, the police have done a lot with getting grants, and that has helped us get them up to where they should have been 20 years ago. But, you know, there's only so much that can do. Any questions?
I just have a comment, just so people know. Is that okay if I do that? Okay, because I'm part of the public right now. One of the things that Ms. Hall stated, just so everyone understands, is that, for example, the accommodation tax of the 3%, we are limited to that based upon our town charter. We are a charter and code. And what it is that when we've incorporated, we put that in there so there wouldn't be a ramp up of any type of taxes at that time, 42 years ago. In order for us to change that, we would have to go to a referendum or just a normal election process, have the Dewey residents vote on it, and then go to the House Representatives to have them approve it. So it's a long, drawn-out process. But the unfortunate thing is our 3%, which generates around $700,000 a year in revenue, compared to almost every other neighboring town, is at 7%. So there's $800,000-900,000 that are potentially sitting out there just to put us on par, if we were able to change the accommodation tax. The good thing about the transfer tax, as all of us know, is that property values have become ridiculous in Dewey. It's a good thing if you're leaving. It's a bad thing if you're staying. But our $500,000 of property of transfer tax at the 1/2 of the 3% level represents $33 million of transfer of property a year. And so, you know, theoretically, is that 33 or 34 properties that we need to transfer just to keep that at par? And will we see that decline as people are making this more permanent homes in the future?
My question is there data, you know, when I first got the house here, whatever it was, 12, 15 years ago, you know, everything shut down in the winter. You didn't need all the services and everything. And now it's so much more year round. Is there data somewhere for sort of how much is full-time residents versus rental? And is there something that we can, I don't know what we do with that, but people have to, I think, acknowledge that if you live here full-time, you expect, you know, a different level of service than if the town is only operating from, you know, May to September.
Yeah, I think we've
And
seen.
it's just gotten more and more, right?
Yeah, I think
Nothing
we-
used to be open, now it's all open.
I think we've seen over the years that now that because of COVID, people are working from home, and so people are usually, they're Fridays and Mondays, or they're working from home days, so they're driving down Thursday nights or Friday mornings. And I think if you look at all the different activities that are scheduled just here in Dewey, last week was Dewey Goes Pink. This weekend is the Greyhounds. Next weekend is the Jazz Festival. The weekend after that is Sea Witch, and we have our own Sea Witch activities here in Dewey. So there's activities here every weekend. So it's just not Saturday and Sunday. People are here Friday through Monday. So they're here 4 days a week. And then they may go home or they may stay. And there are some people that work here now year round because of COVID. They found out they
People
could.
stop renting. I mean,
Yeah, we have over 18,000 cars a day going north and 18,000 cars a day going south through Dewey Beach every day to the other municipalities in Ocean City that is south of us. But there are people here almost year round, with some exceptions in maybe the month of February. Maybe February after New Year's, it kind of dies off a little, but then it comes right back up.
So I think they go to Florida.
Yeah, well,
Seems to be the month.
not anymore.
Not anymore? No, well,
it comes right back up.
should have passed on that one.
And with all the events in Rehoboth that they have year-round, that also leads into Dewey Beach. So one of the things we've done when I got here, we had 8 police officers. That was not nearly enough. I had 9 years with the state police and then 23 in the FBI. I can tell you that was not enough to handle the 20,000 people that are here on a Friday and Saturday night during the summer. It's just not enough. We were at 13. Well, we're authorized for 13 now. And that's what Sheena was saying. Our police department is up where it should be, right? It should be at those numbers when we have a large amount of people. And then during the off season, it gives our officers, the opportunity to take vacation, go to training, do the things that we need to do to keep them here and not go to the state police or another department where they may make more money. So, I mean, there's a good reason why our budget has increased in some areas. And again, Dewey Beach doesn't have a real property tax either. We have a beach replenishment tax, which is really very minor compared to what Milton's taxes just went up 30% to pay for some of the things in Milton. Rehoboth just raised their property taxes this year. And again, we don't have the ability to raise those type of taxes here. Sheena talked about the only things that the mayor and the commissioners really have controls over for revenue streams. I'm not in favor of raising parking again. I'm just not.
No, but it's how do we get revenue? I guess that's the thing is, you can't just keep increasing revenue on the backs of, I would think, on the accommodations of the business owners. And if people are renting their houses less and that straight, they just rip down a whole hotel, right? So where is that, there's got to be some give there. I don't know what it is. And I'm new here, but, and I'm not saying, hey, please let me, pay some money because I don't rent my house, but there's a reality where I come down all the time now and I didn't before. So.
And that's what Sheena's
Yeah.
asking for this committee to think about that.
Right.
Is she'll send you what those things are that the commissioners can raise that aren't in the charter and don't have to go to referendum. And then the last time we raised them and how much we raised them, so you can look at those.
And just as a reminder, as we enter into budget season, Sheena and the town has put together an incredible workbook of here's the history, here's the amount of money. Like you'll be able to see everything in relates to the metrics of how it rolls up to come up with estimates going forward. Kate, did you have, I'm getting motion.
Eric has a question.
Yeah, Eric has a comment.
Good afternoon, all. And thanks for the presentation. I'm new to this as well. And so some of these questions come from just sitting on other committees, finance committees and other towns and everything. So I'm just not quite sure how things work here. So please bear with me. I'm curious. I'm used to seeing a timeline for budget approval. You gave words to it. You kind of said, hey, you want to get done by February, and here's all the stuff that has to happen between now and then. But it'd be helpful for me just to understand, what that looks like over the next 5 months, and what we're supposed to have done when, just so we can execute our responsibility in terms of providing some oversight into that. My second question is, I'm used to seeing some sort of and I don't know what the cadence is, monthly, quarterly, whatever, but some sort of budget versus actuals, cash flow, some sort of numbers on paper. I hear what y'all are saying. Hey, everything looks good, and we're here, we're there, we get this grant, all that kind of stuff. But I'm used to seeing that in some sort of package that's provided that is sent out before the meetings that we can go look through. And if we have questions on, hey, this looks bad, you know, what's up with this, or this looks great, is it going to stay great? If that's not done here, that's fine, but it's just something I'm used to seeing other
Yeah, so
places.
our financials are provided every month at the commissioners' meetings, and they are online. If you go to our town website and you go under the last commissioner meeting, you can bring up the financials. And then again, next Friday is our next commissioners' meeting, and our financials will be posted there. But if the committee would like Sheena to provide you those financials once they're approved, we can do that.
That'd be helpful. And thank you. I apologize for wasting y'all's time on that. I didn't realize that was.
It's a good question, and now we know where to get it.
And
Yeah.
as far as the timeline, there hasn't officially been a timeline in the past. We're formalizing policies and pulling stuff together that the town hasn't had because we weren't growing as fast as we are now. In October, I meet with, that is this month, yeah. In October, I meet with each department head and go over their 6 month, how they're doing. And they are asked to come up with their wish list for the next year. Give us your utopian wish list. What is everything you would want as far as fixed assets? What do you think you're going to need for your different major categories, like the police? What do you think ammunition you're going to need? What do you think for dog? Things like that. Then in November, if this committee, the finance committee was meeting quarterly, the budget committee only met around budget season. So that's up to y'all to figure out how you want to meet. In November, I get the town manager and I look at the wish list. And when they turn in their wish list, they have to give us prices. They have to give us quotes. They have to give us pictures. We want to see what
Justification also.
justification. Don't just, how are you going to use it? At the same time, I'm looking at the past 5 years of our revenue streams and of our expenses and doing a very rough estimate to see where we are. That is where this committee would come in I would share my numbers with, the revenue with them. And you could go, yeah, we can adjust this, or we think this is going to be higher based on your data that you have. In December, the town manager and I, the town manager has come up with what he would like for employee increases. Now, our police department recently signed a contract. They are guaranteed certain amounts. The civilian, the non-police contract employees are not. So, what can we do to match that? What can we do? But one other thing that gets thrown in, we're on the state health benefits. Last year, it went up 20-some%. The year before, it went up 10, and they didn't warn us. This past year, they warned us. I'm right now projecting another 10% increase, and we pay 100% of premiums for employees and all dependents, which is great. I got 2 kids. It's great for me. But, there's a lot of things so the town manager and I look at the pay and kind of, we have to then give those numbers to y'all, and y'all would say, yeah, we think the town employees should get X%. The police are guaranteed this, the town employees should get this. In January, we'd like to have a workshop with y'all and the commissioners to kind of talk about everything. Talk about what you're thinking, talk about where we're looking at as far as the expenses. And y'all work it out, and then I get it back, and in February, we present to y'all and then to the commissioners, hopefully, a budget that everybody is content with. If not, it has to be finalized in March, because our fiscal year starts April 1st. So that's a kind of a timeline.
So Sheena will send out a timeline, an estimated timeline that she just went over, so you see that. And then what we can do is before we have our meetings, right, we'll take the latest numbers that we have on revenues and expenses and set asides, and we'll provide you a copy. So if we were going to do it for this meeting, it would have been for the month of August,
September.
our first, well, this is
That's September.
September's that hadn't been voted on yet, or hadn't been in front of the commissioners yet, so I wouldn't want to give you this one yet, I'd want to give you August. I want to make sure the commissioners see it first. This hasn't even been posted yet. But we will make sure that you get an operating budget sheet and an expense sheet, and you have those numbers so you can have something ahead of time, and then you can ask us questions, why is this number this way, and are you going to make budget in parking, or are you going to make budget in transfer tax?
No, what the town manager has right there is just a one-page summary. The full data dump is ledger size, 6 pages long. But it's the whole year. I've got each month the actual and the budget, as well as year-to-date, updated. Starting next month, after October numbers come in, I will start doing projections where I see the rest of the year, because our major revenue streams are in.
And I think before, we adjourn, we probably, or maybe as an action follow-up, I can talk to you about sort of what makes sense for all of us and when we want to be in this process, and let's try to maybe lay out a meeting schedule, a tentative meeting schedule, so that people can plan to be here and then aligns with what you want to do, and whether it's, and maybe we'll just have an offline discussion, then I'll come back to everybody with a recommendation after that. And I don't want us to meet every week or anything, but, it sounds like you have some key milestones, and whenever those, if we can just align around those and try to participate, that'd be awesome.
That would be great.
Just to finish out, and thank you for all that.
Sorry.
Appreciate that. No, that's fine. I appreciate that. Yeah, so I did go look where y'all said to, and the financial packages that you all post up there, like I saw the one for August, but that's what I'm looking for. It'd be really helpful. I hate to ask people to do more work. Y'all got too much to do as it is, but it'd be really helpful if y'all could just push it to us. I'm gonna forget to go out there before the meeting and look at it, and if it shows up and Kate can send it in an email, that'd be really great. Once they're public, of course, once the commissioners have approved.
Well, we can have our meetings after the commissioner meetings, and that's easy enough to do, right? The week after or something like that, and then
Yeah.
there's no.
But if y'all would be so kind as to push it, that would be great. I had one more thing, and because I don't want to ignore the ask around helping to find new revenue streams and things like that. And I heard some examples of what other folks around us are doing, but we can't be the only town hurting for revenue up and down here. And I'm just kind of curious as to, we're not going to answer it here or solve it here, but what folks are doing other places to find alternative revenue streams, or things that maybe folks haven't thought of before. And I don't know. I think there's an information sharing that occurs amongst the beach towns. That I think the town manager mentioned that last time or something. That y'all get together and talk, but it'd be helpful to kind of know what other folks are coming up with as well. Just as a thought. I'm done. Thank you.
And, I've got, I guess, a comment to make too about alternative revenue streams and everything. I hear about what you're saying about the accommodations tax, and that doesn't seem like it's a very applicable or easy way to go, and we'll probably make a lot of enemies when we propose increasing when half the town's renting. And then, with the way I think everything's moving, you're probably not going to be transferring properties as much either. Obviously, prices are going up. You can't buy and sell these places like you could. But from my perspective, my first job, like 20 years ago, was working at Dewey Beach Surf Shop, and I remember my boss at the time. He's like, Dom, there's no way to make money in this town except the bars do. And looking at the restaurants are paying like the $10 per chair, or was it $10 per table?
It's $10 per, it's based on their fire marshal occupancy. They pay a base business license, And then based on their their fire marshal occupancy, they pay $10 right now per person.
No. And there's a lot more bar space, I guess, than chair space at
What
these
about when you're
places.
standing like this on a Saturday night and you,
Yeah, and you gotta think, like most of our
and I
revenue.
have to go home because.
Yeah.
I don't hang out here, so I don't.
That's just a, like, just putting it
No,
as a
yeah,
point, but, most of the, the increase in police and everything, that all kind of stems from the bars, and that's probably, to a stance, and, you gotta look where all the money is in the town, it's in the bars, so, I think that would, in my opinion, be the first place to start looking for alternative revenue streams, would be where the money is in the town to begin with, but just my thought on it.
The people that come for the night and leave and
Yeah.
don't go into the bars and run around the parking lots and start fights, how about that?
No comment, I guess.
Anyway, all right, do we have any more, are you finished with any more presentation, Sheena? And anybody else have any more comments? All
We're
right,
available for questions if you should have some questions.
okay. All right, then with that, I think we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is Dominic DeFebo is going to talk to us about our portfolio. When you're ready, Dominic, take it away.
Yeah, sure. Happy to. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Great. Well, good evening, everyone. Let me just share my screen real quick and we'll get started. All right. So, giving update on the portfolio for the town of Dewey Beach for month ending September 30th. So, as of the end of September, total market value across both the general fund, short-term general fund, and the short and long-term beach replenishment funds were at a little over 7.3 million, and across all those portfolios. On the long fund, as you can see here in the top left, about 5.66 million. And as we look at this kind of on a quarterly basis, we always look at kind of the left, kind of the performance is kind of what we're beholden to and how we measure our kind of success in managing these portfolios. Top right are kind of our strategic targets that, are based on kind of the IPS. And then kind of the relative weights within the portfolio today. Bottom left, kind of just the numbers that kind of are associated with the performance. And then the bottom right, essentially the green is ultimately if you kind of put your money under a mattress and didn't do anything with it. And the blue is the market appreciation for being invested. So overall, quarter to date, portfolio was up 5.3%. Relative to the benchmark up 5%, year to date up 8.8%. And since inception, the portfolio has annualized at 4% relative to its benchmark at 3.8%. So continuing to see kind of, solid kind of outperformance over the relative kind of blended benchmark that has been set. And so, we're doing that essentially. Our large cap exposure and kind of continuing to kind of let our large cap exposure run, as that's been kind of the best part of the market thus far. And so as we look into kind of the underlying holdings within the portfolio, so obviously the bond, the Voya Intermediate Bond Fund has done exceptionally well since we switched, and that was just about a year ago that we made that switch, and since then the bond fund's up 13.3%, seeing outperformance against its relative benchmarks as well, and so kind of continued outperformance there, and that's really driven really by interest rates. Obviously, the underlying holdings within that fund are driving performance, but certainly getting as kind of longer term rates have come down. In anticipation of a rate cut, and then now that we've seen a rate cut by the Fed last month, 50 basis points, we think we still continue to kind of like how fixed income is positioned, and our manager at Voya has done a phenomenal job, and so we're certainly happy with their performance. The second largest holding in the portfolio is our Flex Equity portfolio, and again has continued to perform quite well. Up 6.3% on the quarter, 21.6% year to date, and then kind of 14.5% annualized 14.5% annualized since inception in 2015. kind of outperforming the S&P 500 by about 80 basis points annually. So continue to see good outperformance from the Flex portfolio. Small caps have been a kind of a challenging space given kind of the rise in interest rates. You're starting to see kind of a little bit of a market reversal, and I'll show a few charts to kind of show that, as well as emerging markets have continued to kind of come back meaningfully. Our manager has done well, as you can see, inception to date. Since we allocated to this manager, we've seen significant outperformance, 8% annualized versus the emerging market benchmark up 5.7%. So continue to see kind of good outperformance kind of across the board, and ultimately that's all we can really ask for. Allocate to really good managers, manage our asset allocation, hold those managers accountable, and that's what we've continued to do. So continue to feel good about the overall positioning of this long portfolio. On the short side, we've seen solid performance in kind of quarter to date up 3.5%, year to date up 4.7%, and so that continues to do well as we've allocated some to more kind of longer term fixed income within this portfolio. On the general fund, so remember the general fund, there was some kind of questions on, should this just be all in cash? Should this be in fixed income? We've kind of gone back and forth a little bit on the bonds, on how much bonds do we have in the portfolio, and so we were in all kind of money market and T-bills, but given kind of the where we see interest rates going from here, and the fact that we do have within the IPS the ability to add to fixed income, we just recently added back into Voya, keeping 60% in treasuries, so in short-term treasuries, and then 40%, so a smaller allocation to fixed income. But we think as rates come down, that should certainly continue to be a benefit to the portfolio. So we want to kind of just try to get as much out of the market as we can, but understanding kind of the dynamics at play and how rates move around. We would like a longer term allocation here that we think will continue to be beneficial to this general fund. So ultimately, being a little longer term, longer duration fixed income relative to short term interest rates that are going to continue to come down as the Fed continues to lower interest rates. And so we want to just make sure we're capturing that value in the bond portfolio. So we'll continue to kind of tweak this as rates are being tweaked, but just want to kind of give you an update, kind of what was happening here. So I just say overall, as we think about kind of the broader market in which we're investing, a couple things at play, and I mentioned one of them. Certainly, all eyes have been on the Fed and what they were going to do. We did see kind of a 50 basis point cut, which was as inflation has come down, as the job market has continued to kind of they continue to tighten. They kind of made it very clear that they were gonna lower rates, and did, and we'll likely see another cut before the end of the year, and then ultimately a continued cut into next year. So ultimately trying to get to this point of what is kind of the ultimate kind of balance of rates. I mean, we're certainly really tight. You had kind of you think about kind of where inflation is, where kind of the 10-year yield is relative to where short-term interest rates are. We certainly knew that the rates are going to come down at some point, but it's ultimately worked. It's hurt. I mean, I heard y'all earlier talking about revenues being down. I heard that from a lot of people at the beach this year, whether it be some restaurants or hotels. I think the number I was kind of being told was about 15%. So we certainly saw people not coming to, I don't know if it's not coming to the beach as much or not using hotels as much, but certainly that is a common theme across from what I've seen across kind of the beach towns when I've been hearing. So not surprising. I think that's as job markets have tightened and as people have started to normalize out of the multi-year COVID hangover, I guess you could say, things are starting to equalize. And as rates have been tightened, as job market's been tightened, I think people's spending has been reduced as well. And so I think the Fed saw that, Fed cut rates and continue to cut rates. And I think we're starting to see some of that play out in the markets as well. I think the only other thing I would kind of highlight here is just the overall kind of rotation that we're just now starting to see. And I'll point here, U.S. growth companies, kind of the first half of the year, up 20%, relative to, say, small cap growth companies that were down 1% on the year. And then the blue is the third quarter. So now we're starting to see small cap companies now starting to perform well. We're starting to see emerging markets start to pop back. And then you look at kind of where U.S. growth is, relative to that in the third quarter. And so it's not a surprise, right? And we're going to continue to see this market rotation as the cost of capital continues to come down. We'll see a broadening out of the market. Really the market has been led, by those growth companies, the quote unquote Magnificent Seven, as the play into artificial intelligence has been kind of really the main, one of the main drivers of investment, and has really led from NVIDIA to Microsoft, to Apple and Google, as there's been hundreds of billions of dollars that have now been invested within the last year into data centers, artificial intelligence, and really trying to kind of get a leg up. That has slowed a little bit. I mean, that investment is still happening, but investors are now kind of pausing to say, have they invested too much? Is there going to be a return on this investment? And kind of asking questions. And in the meantime, now kind of rotating out of some of those larger cap companies, and broadening. And so, we're seeing kind of renewed interest in Japan as Japan's regulatory environment, and kind of capital structure continues to change. That's been an opportunity that we're looking at. Certainly we're continuing to kind of allocate towards small cap US companies as rates come down. There's been as you'll see on this slide here, this is kind of that opportunity I talk about, right? So on the left side, you think about kind of the last 20 years, kind of the price to earnings ratios, on a relative basis, the larger cap growth are in the 97th percentile relative to US small value companies that are in the 17th percentile. So trading at a significant discount, to their kind of 20-year average. And so certainly we want to take advantage of some of that. We don't have a ton of room in the portfolio to do it, but on the margin, we'll probably be leaning in a little bit more as that opportunity continues to present itself. I'm going to stop there. There's a lot I can go through. I'm happy to kind of dig in on a lot of different areas, but those are kind of the highlights that I kind of wanted to mention. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? All right, thank you very much. One question I have for the committee, how many of us are pretty new to this committee?
I was on the investment committee.
Yeah. No, well, what I wonder is, would it be worth it at some point to maybe also go get a quick overview of sort of the overall investment approach in the long versus the short, and just kind of that big picture with that? To me, that I would like to dig into that, but if anybody else wants to do that as well, we could maybe add that to an agenda for next time, or else I could do independent study myself. But.
I'm certainly good to do.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Madam Chair, Elizabeth Gibbings, I'm the council liaison. The investment plan is set by council, and it is in the code and charter, and Dominic operationalizes that. But we could certainly have that information provided since folks are new.
Okay, no, that's great. For me, it's really just the background and making sure understanding all the context. So appreciate that.
We did do that on the investment committee, so it was useful. I think it'd be useful for the rest of y'all. The headline, as Elizabeth said, is that he doesn't really have a whole lot of flexibility in what he can and can't do.
That'd be awesome. Okay, I'll follow up on that. And now we are at committee member comments. Does anybody have any other comments before we adjourn?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to get to Taco Mania or whatever it is. If I can have a motion to adjourn.
Iris, I'm sorry. If
Thank
I
you
could-
all.
Do you want to determine when the next meeting was going to be, please?
Yeah, well, what I was gonna do is I was gonna get with Sheena and look at her cycle of the budget information, and then come back and try to have actually maybe the schedule of the rest of the meetings between now, a general schedule, just so everybody can plan. So I will try to do that within the next week or so.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you all.
I just wanted to give a quick reminder that next Friday, the 18th, we are still going to have a town council workshop. It's all finance-based. Our auditor, Dan Kenny, is going to run it. We'll meet here and we'll also be on Zoom. Committee is welcome to join. It's just a big Q&A, kind of government accounting 101 for everyone. So yeah, committee's welcome to join, public's welcome to join, and then it'll also be recorded and posted on our YouTube. So if you're unavailable but you want to go back and watch it, you certainly can.
It's at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Yeah, here at the lifeguard station or on Zoom.
And how long do you anticipate that one typically?
So Dan's presentation is approximately 2 hours, and then we'll move to the commissioners' meeting at 3 o'clock.
All right.
Thank you.
All righty, can we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, our meeting is adjourned at